Millions of people suffer from multiple conditions that are sometimes caused by not having gut that functions perfectly. And that's why in today's episode, we'll cover the Parasite Cleanse formula to heal your gut so you can heal multiple symptoms that are caused in your body by parasite. And this is going to be covered by Kim Rogers, the Worm Queen. And what's so special about Kim is that she has over 20 years of experience in Western medicine and over 5 years since going mega viral over her personal parasite cleansing journey. And after 30 years of battling chronic illness, parasites, worms, Lyme, endometriosis, and mold, she found herself medically abandoned and had to take her healing into her own hands. And that's why we're so excited to discover the Parasite Cleanse formula. So first of all, what would you say is the biggest thing that causes parasites to multiply in your body and to cause a lot of symptoms and to cause an imbalance in your overall body? Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
I think the food, really. I think them being in like sushi and salmon, and when you eat undercooked meat like pork, it's really easy to catch a parasite. We're all animals, and so they live in the blood, the tissue, and the muscle, and we're eating that. And if it's not really cooked and they're killed out, that's the only way you can really kill a parasite is by cooking your food. That's the number one. The number two is pets. I'm sorry. I had dogs. I love my pets, but I did not think of how important it was to deworm our animals and deworming ourselves until after I caught worms. And I'm like, oh my God, I think that was the same worm as my dog, So those are my top two.
Thank you. So tell us about your personal journey. What first made you suspect parasites were affecting your overall health?
In 2019, I was really ill, and my husband and I had come to the conclusion that we were not going to be getting any more help from Western medicine. They basically just said, we're just going to have to keep doing surgeries. And by that point, they said, actually, we can't do any more surgeries on you. You've had 13, and that's a lot for a human body to have surgery. It's like every 2 years. And their answers were very minimal of, oh, we'll try this and try that. So my husband and I sold everything. We quit our careers, which at the time I was running 25 medical colleges and I just finished my second healthcare degree. So we were really like, we're 30s and right there in the middle of it all. And so we left our lives to figure out what was wrong with me. And, it didn't really appear the first year and a half of us really digging into my health. It wasn't until social media, TikTok, basically can read your mind and said, why don't you try this cleanse? So I thought, what else do I have to lose? I've tried everything else. I've removed myself from society. I've really worked a year and a half on my spiritual health and my emotional health. Why not try this? And I did. And now here we are. It was fun. It was fun. I know it sounds like it wouldn't be fun, but I've loved every moment of this.
Tell us, what parts of the body do parasites affect? Because most people think it's just the gut, and oftentimes it can be other parts of the body too, right?
Correct. So it will affect our blood, our tissue, and our muscle. So they're all over our body. There are certain parasites like neurocystic which is a tapeworm in the brain, and that can cross into the brain and cause seizures and other issues. You have something like the hookworm, which will cause you to have iron deficiencies. That is anemia, because they absorb iron and you're not absorbing the iron that your body needs in order to, function. You have malnourishment when you have a tapeworm, which can actually make you gain weight, not lose weight. Everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to eat a tapeworm and I'm going to get skinny. But in reality, it's causing you malnourishment. So anywhere in our bodies, these things can live. They're microscopic. Some of them are physical. Some of them will appear, and some of them you'll never see.
Thank you. How does someone know that they have parasites? Let's say they have an eye condition or they have some sort of brain condition. Oftentimes they don't relate that with parasites. Like nobody would even think that you actually have parasites until perhaps you get some serious test. And I don't even know, how would you even discover that you have a tapeworm in your brain or whatever? Like, how do you know these things?
Well, a lot of people will go get like radiography, and by the time the imaging is, you can see them, it's just all over. It's an infestation. But prior to that, that's why I just recommend you should just cleanse. Like, it's being proactive. We all have a parasite. It's a matter of what part of your life right now is stressful, that then they'll kind of come in because they've lowered your immune system and they're going to take over. Where are you at in your life? Are you the healthiest you've been? And even then, if you have one moment where it's really stressful, that's when they come in and they can take over. So it's not even a matter of if and when, it's why don't we be proactive? Why don't we know that we should be cleansing 3 to 4 times a year? I mean, other countries, they'll take synthetics. So they'll take like a pharmaceutical pill 2-3 times a year. In Mexico, it's mandatory for certain sports and certain school activities that you deworm your children and you deworm yourself, because they know that this is a thing and they know their water isn't great. Well, our water in the United States isn't great either. In fact, that's where I found out about all of this, is that we had worms in our water while we were building our log home. And then we've tested 75% of the country's water, and it's come back positive for nematodes, which are physical worms. So you don't even know. And it's because they're so easy to catch. And other countries do proactive things, like when you eat sushi or salmon, you're eating it with wasabi, but I'll eat something questionable and I'll take my kit prior to eating questionably because I'm trying to make my body inhospitable. And the way society is nowadays with food and with how toxic our environments are, it's not a fear-mongering thing. It's really just like, why aren't we cleansing? You know, why aren't we taking that note from another country and other ways that medicine is brought to us and actually create that environment within our own Western medicine country worlds?
Thank you. How does someone know that they actually have parasites? Is it that some people are asymptomatic, they have no symptoms whatsoever? And are there others that have specific symptoms, like, for example, itchy bum or some other symptoms that you can tell us about?
Grinding your teeth, I always go to that. And the reason why, for science and A&P purposes, they absorb the magnesium and calcium in your body, and you are depleted of that when you grind your teeth. So they've hijacked your nervous system. That's one of the ways that you can tell you have a parasite. IBD, IBS, constipation, anything that affects that intestinal area. And even if it's something else, it's still going to probably be an underlying parasite, mold, or Lyme, right? So those are the underlining root causes of specific umbrella labels. And so when you're working with people that have these underlying issues, just being proactive. I'm always going to go back to that. I'm always going to go back to the proactiveness of how easy it is to do a cleanse, how easy it is to just know, okay, well, you know what? I ate a bunch of salad out and about when I was out in the world. And instead of worrying about it and just enjoying me as a human, I'm going to cleanse now because I don't know what was on the raw produce I just ate. Or if you are eating sushi and salmon, that's really what it is.
Thank you. If someone has never had a cleanse, how bad is the parasite situation likely to be?
Before the Parasite kit, it was rough. I know. I did it on film. Oh my gosh. Like, I had die-offs and I felt terrible. But now I feel like, because this is such a loud subject now, I feel like 2 years ago I was loud, but I feel like I'm even louder now. And I feel like people are really getting a better understanding that they need to be doing this, but also that the die-offs are tolerable once you know that that's what they are. I think it's the unknown for people when they start to wonder what it's going to feel like when something's dying off in their body. But when I decided to make this kit, I did it with the intention of, I don't want people to not cleanse. Like, I want people to cleanse. So it's like once you have a bad cleanse, you won't want to do it again. And I don't want that. I want people to be like, oh my God, I feel so good on this. And I'm seeing results. And I have minimal die-offs like headaches, flu-like symptoms, constipation's a big one because of the binder. But when I formulated it all, I formulated it so that you had support in addition to the killing herbs. So you don't want to just stay in like killing herbs are things like wormwood and Oregon grapefruit and black walnut hull where they go in and they attack. The problem with a lot of things we do nowadays is we just stay in that world or we don't bring something in supporting it. So say you have a liver fluke and you're taking the Parasite kit. I put burdock root in there to support your liver while you're pushing out the liver fluke so that it's the taxing of that liver isn't all by itself. It needs a supporting character. The main character is moving the liver flukes out and killing it with wormwood, but you got to go in and support the organs that are being taxed and pushing things out in a way that they've never done it before. They've been in this rhythm of this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it's supposed to feel. And now you're like, no. And you're pushing these things out. So you have to support while you do that. In the Parasite kit and our lymph kit, any of our products have supporting herbs in them for that purpose.
Thank you. How does someone know what kind of test should someone do to discover whether they have Lyme, mold, or parasites?
So this is my mission in life. I feel like, why aren't we able to get tests? There are no good tests. I'm going to be honest with you. It sounds terrible. It's upsetting. And so I'm working really hard to make this a reality where you can go and get tested, available, accurate, affordable testing. Right now, what we have in Western medicine countries is LabCorp, where you get a stool sample, and the stool sample has a lot of faults right out of the gate. One, it's probably set out. They forget to tell you to refrigerate it. Two, you're only getting a 2-day snapshot of your gut, which we've talked that they're in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle. Three, they're evaders, so they totally know that you know, and they're not going to want to come out, so they'll go burrow down deep in. Why we don't have testing that's accurate right there, I have no idea. But when we first all realized in Western medicine in 1909 that hookworm and worms were a real issue, which Western medicine is based upon worms. Funny enough, our actual health system was based upon the hookworm. When they realized that it was in the stool, they would do live stool analysis at fairs, and they would look at your stool immediately underneath. They wouldn't even talk to the people. They would say, "We're testing your stool. Here you go." Because the moment they would say, "We're testing your stool for hookworms," they would go away. You would never see them. They know because they're in a frequency alive inside of your body, which is like sci-fi, right? So they would test their stool immediately and see the worms immediately. To me, the only way that we know 100% would be live stool or blood culture analysis. Blood culture analysis is where they take your blood and look at it under a microscope immediately. And that means that you can see any movement that comes out of the cells. We're not doing this. And one reason we're not doing this is because we're not educated enough on what to look at. And that's where my history of being a professor and teaching lab technicians comes in, because I know exactly what that protocol looks like because I used to teach it. You get 3 minutes. When you look at that stool, which probably wasn't taken correctly, by the way, by the patient, and it's sad and only got 2 days. So you're looking at a stool that doesn't have anything in it, or you don't know what you're looking at when you're looking at the sample. And so you just immediately say negative, but then at the bottom of all of our lab slips, there's a fine print that says, this is not in lieu of a parasitic infection. And that right there gets the loophole for everybody to get out. And insurance then doesn't have to pay for medications. Your doctor doesn't have to say that you had a parasitic infection. And boom, now you are being gaslit. You have no idea which way to turn because you think that that one test is the one and done. And that's it. It's the gospel. But that's not the truth. The truth is they're evaders. And our system doesn't know how to look. Our system doesn't know how to test. Mexico is probably the closest place from all of my adventures here in the last 4.5, 5 years that I've been doing this. My stool went to Mexico and it went to the States, and the States said it was negative. Mexico's test with the same stool came back positive for crypto and roundworm for me. And I immediately knew what was wrong with me then. It's like, if you look at it in the big picture, we just don't have accurate testing, and we're not doing our due diligence as patients either by saying, where can I go get a live blood culture analysis? Speaking of which, I think I'm going to do that on my podcast. I think I'm going to go find a place that does a live blood culture analysis so that we can show everybody exactly what that looks like. They're usually around $150. And then they just show you. I have some film of people sending videos of people sending me what their live blood culture look like, and they have worms coming out of their cells. And immediately then okay, now I have to treat you at a cellular level. But that's all that the Parasite kit is doing. It's all treating all body, and it's going in and it's helping them move out of your blood. It's helping them move out of your tissue and your muscle and your gut. And whether you see something or not doesn't mean that you don't have parasites. Wow. Sorry. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. What is leaky gut, and how can someone heal that? And how is the protocol for healing it different to, let's say, someone who doesn't have leaky gut?
So leaky gut is basically where there's like a sheathing inside of your gut, and there's like receptors, and those receptors stop responding. It isn't always in conjunction with a parasite, but that is the opportune time for parasites to take over because you've weakened that area. Now, what I've done for my leaky gut, in addition to doing parasite cleansing, I also use marshmallow root because it acts as a coating material and it helps regain the receptors that are misfiring. So I use a lot of those type of things. You can actually eat marshmallow and have it do very similar things to help coat. A lot of people that do the Parasite cleanse and also our lymph kit cleanse, they come back and they don't have leaky gut anymore. And it's because you're boosting your immune system, you're boosting your body, you're basically going in and removing things out of your body like candida. Candida is a huge indication that you have something going on in your gut. And it's because it can be systematic and it can also stay stagnant inside of your gut. So anything that can start to heal it. But if you have leaky gut, you should definitely look at doing a parasite cleanse. It's going to help you a lot.
Thank you. Does the protocol for cleansing of parasites differ if you have only parasites versus if you have parasites, mold, Lyme, and also you have parasites in your brain and in other organs and tissues?
So parasites, mold, and Lyme, they all live together in this world that we call biofilm. It's a hard shell. I call it their house. And so when you start to do a parasite cleanse, and I do recommend doing lymph, parasite, and moldies, right? In that order, I recommend doing parasite cleansing 2 to 3 times prior to doing anything with mold. And that's because these environmental toxins like parasites can hold up to 6 to 8 times their weight in spores. So you're going in and you're trying to burn their house down and exposing all of them. And the difference between what my kit does and just doing a straight parasite cleanse tincture with like no additional support is that I realized that when you burn their house down, they're now exposed and they're going to go looking out and about for another place to live, which means they're leaving the house you just burned down. You've just given them open access to run about your body. So Candida is going to do it. Right? So you just burned it down with the biofilm. Now you need to come in with an herb like Oregon grapefruit and usnea to tell Candida who's boss. Then you have mold spores. Mold spores can then fly all over your body and create more colonization in your body. So wormwood suppresses that. Cinnamon pulls that out, and that's in our binder. Then you have heavy metals that weight them down. So just like normal, like logic of metal holds things down, that's what's happening inside of your body. So you systematically have to slowly release heavy metals outside of the house you just burned down. And we use cilantro for that. So cilantro comes in and says, get out of here, heavy metals. Well, now you've released all of these toxins to float about. No. Now you come in with Oregon grapefruit, wormwood, black walnut hull. You're like, you're laying eggs? No, black walnut's coming in here and wiping those eggs out. Clove, garlic. You are attacking. The moment you burn their house down, you are attacking them with the herbs. And that's what makes it very different when you do an actual full kit versus just doing a parasite tincture. And I did just a parasite tincture at the beginning of all of this. I didn't know all of this. I come from Western medicine. We weren't taught this. I mean, I was licensed. I wasn't allowed to go outside of my way of living in that world. I couldn't go out of, I'd be afraid to get sued. And that's what the problem is. Everybody's afraid to get sued to give them this information. I don't have a license anymore. So
thank you. Tell us about the life cycle of parasites and how does that affect the protocol that you're going to have? Is it that you're going to do this for like 6 months or 1 month, or like how do you do it so that it's not only that you're killing them, but they are their larvae or whatever are not going to create new parasites and so on?
Like a whole new community. It's so gross, isn't it? And that's really why people say to do it during the full moon, because they hatch and they move about during the full moon and they eat your serotonin. So there's a lot more activity during the full moon when you have parasites. And that falls into what the cycle of them looks like. They're laying eggs on their way out, and usually some eggs are 7 to 21 days. And so usually I say start with 30 to 45 days. So our Parasite cleanse is 30 days. And then if you want to keep going, you can. We give you around 45 days worth of product, or you can do your 30 days and then you pause. And during the full moon, you do 5 days, 2 months of 5 days. And then we recommend doing another 30 days. Some people will do back-to-backs with a 7-day between. So they'll do 30 days, 7-day break, let the eggs hatch, then hit it again at 30 days, then again 7 days. And it really depends on you, because not a lot of people can do it like that. Not a lot of people can stay dedicated. And then people will just fall off of it if you put too much pressure on it. But once they start to feel better, then they want to keep doing it. And I think sometimes that can take someone 1 or 2 cleanses. A lot of people, they feel better within the first week because of the herbs we used to help with inflammation and mucus, and you lose some weight and people start to feel better. But, I think it's really crazy when people hear medical professionals say you really need to have some sovereignty over your health. And if you don't want to do back-to-backs, you don't have to. You should at least do it 3 to 4 times a year. But if you feel good, keep going. That allows society to not feel so anxious. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I've been around people now directly like this for 4.5 years. And the moment they start to get overwhelmed, they don't do it. They stop it instead of pushing through. And that's just our normal society that we live in. Even with the food, we have a couple of food guides that are free. All of my ebooks are free. And people start to get really overwhelmed with the directions and what to eat. And the whole thing is just get the herbs in your body. That's it. The first kit. That's it. That's the most important thing.
Thank you. What are some immediate side effects, like negative side effects that happen as a result of the die-offs of the parasites? Is it that you start temporarily to feel a lot worse before you start to feel better?
Some people can, yes. Some people will start to feel headache, a little more brain fog, skin issues. That seems to be a big one for people to stop doing it because they come out your skin. They came out my skin. I had them swim out my feet with Volvic because this is your largest organ and it's an alive thing. And you do transdermal, I feel like that's the number one way to get medication. Number 2 is tinctures. So really, I think the skin stops people because you could have some breakouts, but just put Parasite on it. Tackle them from above and from within. And that's really going to help push them out. Once they know, I've had people receive my kits that pooped worms out just because the kits came in the mail. One guy opened it and you can smell it. It smells like clove and cinnamon when you open up our box. It smells yummy. They knew. They knew because those frequencies of that essential oil smell really puts them on alert, and they don't like it, and they're gonna fight back a little bit. But the Parasite kit is way bigger of a punch than they'll ever be.
Thank you. Tell us about the safety of doing parasite cleanses, because some people talk about safely detoxing, and others talk about how you could actually end up in hospital if you do it the wrong way, in the incorrect order, or perhaps not doing the complete protocol in the way that is designed. So maybe you're taking only some substances that will actually have a negative effect. Tell us about that.
Well, if you're taking this for a reason, you definitely need to be talking to a practitioner. If you're on any medications that could be questionable, we do have some resources that you can go. HelloPharmacist.com is a resource. You can type in our herbs and your medications and compare, because we're not your practitioner. The hospital thing, like, what else do you have going on in your body that is alerting you something is happening? It's not because you took some herbs. It's just not. But some people think it is, and I can understand where that fear comes from, because you do sometimes feel really yucky. And some people have moved things out where, pinworms live in your appendix, and you've upset that. You've lived in a certain frequency that your body thinks is correct homeostasis. Every day we wake up trying to get ourselves back to homeostasis. And when you have environmental toxins that are its own frequency in your body, and you start to move that frequency out, you have caused some disruption, not just to your body, but really to the whole system of the way we've run for so many years and decades. I want you guys to really think like we're in a world, and we're going straight, and our bodies have stayed in that straight path for so long. And now all of a sudden you stop and you think, I have parasites, which has been in the straight and narrow with me for all of these years, running in this course, in this system, in this frequency, in this energy. And now I'm going to remove those. I'm going to pluck them out. So now you're not going like this no more. You're not going like this, right? And everything around you has to catch up. And you're changing the course of what your homeostasis should look like and should be. They're an alive thing in our bodies, just like mold. When you see mold on the wall and you look at it and how it's black, colonizing, and fuzzy, it's in your body just like that. It's doing that exact same thing to the T. So now in your cells, pushing them. Yeast, when you see yeast starting to ferment and it's pushing things out of when you're making something like sourdough or your beer, you're seeing it. Right? That's what it's doing in your body. It's the same. It's just we can't see it. So we just don't think that that's really what's happening. But it is. So now you've changed the course, and the body has to catch up with that. So there's going to be some residual that's left behind that you, as the patient and as the person in this temple, you have to adjust with that. And so sometimes it can be disruptive, but I would say, we've sold 350,000 kits. Last year alone, we sold over 100,000, and we only had 48 people come back to us and say, this didn't work. This was an issue. We call them chargebacks. 48 out of 102,000. That's not even like 0.00001%. I mean, it's really important for people to hear that, like, this is a thing. It's really a thing.
Thank you. What are some of the biggest benefits of doing a parasite cleanse? And I'm talking not necessarily just the immediate benefit of the removing the parasites, but I'm talking about, let's say, do they cause some autoimmune diseases, and
yes.
Do they cause like cancer? Do they cause like tumors and so on? Do they cause a lot more than we actually than most people believe that they cause? Mm-hmm. And by eliminating them, can some of those autoimmune conditions be resolved or at least reduced in symptoms?
For me, it was. I had stage 4 endometriosis and I've been in remission since 2019 and I had surgeries every 2 years. I had a hysterectomy when I was 29 years old and I do not believe I needed it. Looking back now, I have no children. I'm totally content with everything that's gone on, but I didn't need a hysterectomy. I needed to know that I had environmental toxins creating an ecosystem inside of my body. I believe, not just believe, I found a document in 2016 that stated from 1953 that the CIA was very aware that parasites resembled endotumors and they were malignant. And so I don't think in my world that I live in that it is a malicious thing. A lot of people do think that because you can't use your higher self, you can't connect the same way when you have other environmental toxins or other live things inside of your body dictating how you should and shouldn't think, which is what parasites do. A definition of a parasite is anything that feeds off a host, not just food or nutrients. It's an energetic source. And so it really is disheartening to think that we've gone this many decades, hundreds of years this way, and that we still don't know how to eradicate them. So I dug in a little and I started looking at the history of parasites and worms. And I came across that in 1909, Dr. Stiles tried to eradicate worms, specifically the hookworm, because it causes people to be slow. And in the South, it was like 40% of people were had them and they were dying from hookworm disease. So when you look at statistics like how many people have parasites, what the level of parasitic infection can do to your body, and the fact that we can't use our full capabilities, that's why I think everyone veers over to, they think they want to keep us sick. And then you have people like me where I'm like, I just think most of us just didn't know. I just didn't know. Is that because they indoctrinated us? Yeah. Is that because I read the same books as everyone else that didn't know? 100%. So to go back to, do I think that it's all from, I do think that most, if not all, stem from parasites. We here in the United States, we have the worst chronic illness. We have the highest amount of money that's spent in wellness and health, and it's can really be simply fixed. I've made them lose millions of dollars because I don't do surgeries anymore and I don't need the surgeries. Like I genuinely do not have the same pain since knowing what I know now about Lyme, parasites, and mold, specifically parasites. I literally did the cleanse because I had a pain on my right side that came back and my doctor said, you can't have any more surgeries, Kim, you're going to have to deal with it. And I stopped pooping for a month in September of 2020. I stopped. And it's like, why? What made that happen? Well, because I had live organisms in my body that were stealing my nutrients, not allowing my body to process the nutrients to then trigger the organs that needed those nutrients in order to work. So it all went right back to, well, I had Cryptosporidium parvium shutting my organs down. I had roundworm, pinworm. I had liver flukes. Like all of my energy was being put to them to calm them down in order for my body to process a little bit. So of course my body was starting to shut down. It didn't know what else to do. It was trying to protect itself. It was doing its job by trying to protect itself.
Thank you. Is there any connection between parasites in your body and the smell that comes from your mouth, your bum, your vagina?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They ferment inside, creating gases. And one of the things I use when I am cleansing and I smell, because it happens, right? You've got bacteria and toxins being pushed out of your largest organ, out of the pores. I use chlorophyll. I like Mary Roos. They're organic. They're really good. Chlorophyll helps bind it, but I also use cinnamon to help bind it. But the chlorophyll seems to help with the smell. Just a fun tip for people. But yes, I do believe that a lot of it is off-gassing because they'll pee and poop in our bodies. And that creates off-gassing inside of our bodies. And then we protect ourselves around it. So to kind of go back to the cancer, your body is stagnant. And that's why you start to create abnormal cells. There are certain cells that aren't able to push and defend anymore. And so your body created something to protect itself around that. That's what an autoimmune disease is it's trying to protect itself while attacking itself at the same time. And so it's like up and down and up and down. And one of the things that I learned through the process of all of this is there is an herb called usnea, and it's in our kit. And usnea helps regulate autoimmune. So when you're up or down, it helps regulate it so it stays consistent. So it's just your immune system back online. And then turkey tail, which is a mushroom that I absolutely love, and it's in the lymph kit. It actually helps boost the immune system working in conjunction with the usnea. So I didn't know all of these things when I first started going viral. I learned them. I come from Western medicine. We're very black and white synthetics. This is what the frequency of that drug is to help the frequency of that ailment. And I want to touch on that a little bit more, what frequencies and what that is, so people can wrap their heads around it a little bit more. But when you're able to figure out what the label is and what that ailment is, you can bring in herbs to assist with that. You can bring in modalities. You can bring in different things to assist with that. And so once you start to realize that, okay, these are my underlying environmental toxins that my body is trying to protect me from, building this biofilm around it, and then attacking itself, what can you bring in to assist so that it levels out? And that's what I did. I realized that, say you go to an opera and you have an opera singer sing and her voice gets to the same frequency of a glass and it shatters. That's all I did. Heavy metals, bring in cilantro. You need your immune system regulated, bring in usnea. You need to kill some parasites, bring in wormwood, right? So you just go and you just figure out what those labels are, what the frequency is, and then what the herb is, or the ailment, or the modality, or the medication, to go ahead and match it so that it doesn't exist anymore.
Thank you. Does that mean that while you have parasites, you're kind of stuck in a low frequency because you have all of those parasites? And because you're in that low frequency, you might not only feel unwell, but perhaps you'll take less action on your dreams and be less productive and be less successful and attract worse situations in your business, that kind of thing as well?
Yes, 100%. And that's why you circle back to, why don't we know this? Because, well, how can they control you in a sense if you are high performing? I am a high performer. I've always been a high performer. I've always been very active, and I've always had something going on where I've strived to do more. And in the periods of times where I have ailments that are like Lyme and mold and parasites, I'm fighting that instead of living at my highest potential. And so, of course, if we all lived at our highest potential, how could you be controlled, right? How can you be controlled if you're living at your highest potential and you have all of your brain capacity opening up and expanding your life? There would be no control. But that also goes for you as an individual. How can you gain control and not think about how they've got the control? You actually have the control. You really do. Listening to this podcast right now, you have a lot of control over your thoughts and where you want to navigate. And what you're thinking now will only better yourself in a few months. Some people, it's instant. Like me, I'm an instant manifester. I know when I'm being bogged down and I have to switch gears, and I throw some mushrooms on board. I mean, I spent a year and a half in the rainforest on mushrooms. That's why I celebrate Amanita. I learned about her. I learned about the psychedelic side of how to open up my mind and allow me to expand even beyond the physical part of my body, because my physical body was really not in good shape, but my soul was desperate to reconnect with my body. And I was just like, whatever I need to do. And all of those whatevers I was needing to do has led me to a spot where I'm at now, where I have the capability to go, am I getting a Lyme flare, or is this like is something going on with my mold in my body right now? You actually open that horizon up for you to have your instincts. You start to decalcify your pineal gland. I mean, there's so many cool things that happen when you parasite cleanse. You energetically are cutting ties that you didn't even know were pulling you down. Speaking of which, I think I'm going to start my parasite cleanse today. I've got some energetic pools that I need to there's some things you can feel them once you start to do it. Like literally you can feel it. I mean, it's just crazy. I'm going to start right now. I mean, this is how easy it is.
Thank you.
That's it. I'm done.
How can someone who is a hygienic person who washes frequently, but let's say has bad mouth smell, bad, vagina or bum smell, how can they smell like flowers? Is it that once they do the parasite cleanse, they will be healed and they will start to smell better? Or is there any particular protocol that you have for that?
Well, if you have a smell in your vaginal area, and it smells bad, it's probably bacterial vaginosis, which is a symptom of candida in your body. So starting with something like our Sustain, which helps with candida. And then if you go to a doctor, nystatin, I'm not your doctor, but that's really one thing that we would give people because most of the time it has to do with a fungus, and candida is that fungus. I mean, isn't it crazy? It all does really lead back to some form of a parasite. Candida is a parasite. A lot of people don't know that. It's an overgrowth of yeast, and we all have yeast in our bodies. But once that yeast turns into something that now you have to feed it, again, right? The definition of a parasite is anything that feeds off the host and it's feeding off of you, it turned into a parasite, and now it can go systematically. I would say most people that do the cleanse end up not having those smells coming back, and then they stay consistent. Because once you start to not have smell, and then you like go a few days and I don't smell anything, and then you start to smell something, you immediately go, what did I do 3 days ago to not be smelly? I'm going to do that again. And so it starts to open up that mindset for you to be like, what do I do next?
Thank you. Do all people who get constipated frequently have parasites? And if so, what can they do to get rid of the constipation?
So there's a few things you can do, and then I'm going to tell you what definitely not to do and to be really conscientious. One of the things when you're cleansing or you're moving your lymphatic system, like we have a lymph kit that helps move your lymphatic system, vibration plate, walking, massage, you want to bind. That's a big one. That ours is called Cinnabon. It's coconut activated charcoal and Ceylon cinnamon. And what a binder is it's a negatively charged herb that acts like a magnet and magnetizes to positively charged toxins. And so it helps pull it out and push it out so that it's not coming out your skin, your nose, your eyes. So you got to be really careful though, because it will bind you up. It will cause you to be constipated. When that happens, here are some of my suggestions on what to do. Definitely get out there and move your body. It's very important you move your body. Walk, run in place, move as much as you can. Also, cream of tartar, which is baking, you can go into any baking aisle, is potassium. If you do a little cream of tartar, like 1 teaspoon with like a cup of coconut water and a little Baja sea salt, it's going to help move you. The other thing I like people to do is rub castor oil on your abdominal area and sit in front of a red light. It goes beyond just the castor oil pack. It goes to a point where the red light is pushing the castor oil deeper into your body, which helps break up toxins even more and move them out. Usually within like 4 to 5 hours, you'll poop after you do the castor oil with the red light. Those are good suggestions that I normally will tell people. I'll think about some more because constipation is a real thing with people that have parasites. It was for me. I didn't go for 30 days. We have another a gut cleanse called Gutty, and it has Ceylon, or it has bentonite clay, coconut activated charcoal, psyllium husk, and chia seeds, and you drink it. And it doesn't taste bad. It's a texture thing. And the chia seeds like get in there and act like a pressure washer and like really get everything moving out. So that's an option for people too. We like to recommend doing that 3 to 4 days prior to doing the Purify cleanse to get you cleaned out, get you ready. Coffee enemas. Coffee enemas are a huge game changer when you are constipated, and water enemas. And then obviously colonics are a big one. Hydrotherapy is great. They all kind of go in there and really like get that poop and stagnant that's in there and help push it out.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit more about the binders that you use. Is it that for 3 days only, you would take these binders like that you mentioned now, and then you will start the Purify cleanse? Or is it like a longer therapy of like 2 weeks or something before you do the actual cleanse?
So
Not necessarily for constipation. I'm saying like for people that want to prevent getting parasites, or people that know they have parasites and they want to do the Purify cleanse. Is it that they would take binders first?
You take it every time. You take it every day. Yeah. So when you're doing anything like a cleanse, you want to bind. Some people bind every day. I'm not an everyday binder. I will bind, like last week we filmed for What's Eating You and we did a lot of lymphatic drainage. I did a massage. I binded right after because you're moving the sewer of your body. The A and P of our bodies is so crazy. Our lymphatic system, which is our sewer system, which lives right below, doesn't have a pump. We call it a sphincter. It doesn't have a way to pump itself. You have to manually do that with things like herbs, with things like gua sha and massage. And so you're moving the sewer out of your body, but it's also breaking stuff up so it can reabsorb back into your body. And that's why you do a binder. So as you're doing the Purify Parasite Cleanse, you're burning their house down, exposing them. Some of them could escape. So the binder's like the cops coming in and grabbing them and taking them into jail and pushing them out, right? That's what a binder does. So anytime you're moving your lymphatic system and you want to bind, you should. But specifically when you're doing a parasite cleanse so that you can bind toxins that then won't reabsorb back into your body.
Thank you. Are there any gadgets that can be used in conjunction with your parasite cleanse?
Oh yeah, all the gadgets. I love all the gadgets. I am a gadget freak, man. Like, if you were to go and look at a hoarder's house, I would be that with gadgets for sure. I mean, just behind me, I have like a bunch of fascia blasters. I have my gua sha all the place. I do a lot of vibration. So I have a bed that vibrates and it vibrates at a frequency. I have a chair that vibrates at a frequency. So it's vibrating my cells. I really recommend doing hot and cold. Sweat the stuff out. I do a lot of cold therapy. It's so underutilized. Cold exposure is so underutilized. You should be cold plunging, taking cold showers. If you do a hot shower, you should end it with a cold shower. All of that moves your lymph, and all of that is going to keep you from having terrible die-offs, making you feel awful during the cleanse. That is the furthest thing I want for you, is to have a bad cleanse. I want your cleanse to be so good that you immediately say, I want to keep doing this. I feel so much better. My brain fog is gone. My skin is cleared up. I have a glow. I can think straight. I mean, those are the things that you don't realize how it's hindering you. And the moment you start to actually remove it, you're like, oh God, this is the way I'm supposed to feel. Seriously, I never knew I could feel the way I feel. I'm 47 years old. I don't look 47. I don't act 47. You would never guess 5 years ago I was dying in the woods. And it's because I've remained committed to myself to push myself through cleansing, doing these modalities, even in the hardest. I'm in a different phase. I'm really focused on working out and weight training. But that all has come with time for me. It's all been, I used to be a snowboarder. I did roller derby. I would work out all the time. And then I had a very stressful year. I was living in mold. I was being doused with worm water. My Lyme was in a full flare. And I realized something was wrong. And I started to change that. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It's taken me years to do this. So anyone that is listening, this isn't just going to happen right this moment. Like, you really need to chip away at it, and you're doing it for you. It's not selfish. It's really so that you can have good quality of life. We're not supposed to live sick. We're not supposed to be sick. We're not.
Thank you. Tell us where people can connect with you.
You can find me on Mrs. Rogers Hood. That's MRSROGERSHOOD on TikTok. And then on Instagram, I'm Mrs. Rogers.hood. You can go to my website, rogershood.com. You can find me on my podcast, What's Eating You with the letter U. You can Google Kim Rogers Worm Queen, and I am everywhere. I've been on over 300 podcasts in the last 2 years. I've been on some really great podcasts like yours. And I just really love that people are interested on bettering themselves. You don't have to live sick. You just don't. And there are ways out there like what I'm showing.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health change makers to live your healthiest life ever.